Let's move on to some more prestige television, The White Lotus.
Okay. I mean,
Talk
I
about
told
it.
you, I was I like had like a warm and fuzzy feeling inside. Like I thought Mike White wrapped up every single storyline so well. There were definitely some things that I was like, did I love that? I'm not sure, but overall, and like we'll go through each plot line, but overall I thought it was incredible. Like just premier HBO best of the best television.
Yeah, I think I was a little disappointed. I think I was like left wanting more. I think I felt like it was a little lackluster. I think I was like trying to, I think I just had so much anticipation. I thought there was going to be like more explosions happening across all the storylines. And there were definitely a few of those, but yeah, I just felt like I was left wanting more, but then like having some time and space to like let it sink in. I do really like how it all ended, and like it was more of a thinker for me than
Yeah,
like a whoa in your face that's like a crazy ending, but that's what White Lotus always is. So
totally.
I should have known it would be more like that. Like he doesn't really hit you over the head with like
Right.
lessons and messaging. It's like what you take away from it, which is the best part of White Lotus.
So Mike White had a quote. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
There was complaining about how there's no plot. Part of me is just like, bro, this is the vibe. I'm edging you. Enjoy the edge. If you don't want to be edged, get out of my bed. Don't be a bossy bottom.
I saw that. That is like the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, he's like, that's why I've loved it this whole time. Everyone's like, it's tired. I'm over it. I'm like, I just love his character development so much. I don't like need a plot. I'm like, I can just watch these characters.
It really is about like complex characters and like the human experience. It's not
Yes,
about like XYZ plot points being hit and like following the
exactly.
normal beats of like
Yes.
television or a movie.
Like even for example, people I know were questioning, and I had this question too a little bit. People were expecting there to be some resolution around the Victoria Ratliff and um what's her name?
Oh, Leslie Bibb's
Leslie Bibb, but I
character?
don't remember
Yeah.
her character.
Kate.
Kate. Resolution around that because Kate recognized her and Victoria's like, "What do you mean?" Like there was this weird awkward pause. And I think that was just again like that was just like a part of the experience of like their experience. Like Victoria was like, I don't need to talk to this. Like, I remember her, but she doesn't serve me, and I don't talk to people who don't serve me. And like, it was just like something that happened, but it doesn't need to tie so neatly into like a bow or like
Right.
wrap up for at
It
the
was
end of like
also just
why
to
that
speak
happened.
to her character of like how disconnected she is from like the world and like in a haze of like her own self-medication and like
Yes.
self-importance, and like you said, like this woman doesn't serve me. I don't need to like have a conversation with her. Okay, I feel like we should start with Rick and Chelsea.
I know. Wait, I have one question
Okay.
first. If you had to be, if you had to be best friends with one person, who would it be?
Oh, this is such a good question.
I know. I just thought of it.
Honestly, I think Lori,
Wow.
Carrie Coon's character, because she's so real
Hmm.
and she knows how to have a good time. She knows how to talk shit. I think I am the most like her out of all of them. Not real.
Mm,
I don't actually think I'm the most like her at all. I'll
yeah.
take that back. I'm not like her.
But I know what
But
you mean. She's the most relatable.
she's the most relatable, and I feel like I would have so much fun talking shit with her.
Totally.
What about
Okay,
you?
just off the top of my head, I feel like Belinda.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started. I'm so disappointed in her. I am so disappointed
I'm
in her.
thrilled for her. Okay, so let's start. Let's Should we
Okay.
start with her?
Yeah, let's just start there.
Wow. Okay, you go first because I'm like shocked.
I think it's, the whole season we're rooting for her. She's like, she's the person that was in season one, like working at the resort, completely taken advantage of by Tanya. Tanya got her hopes up that they're gonna start this spa together and that she's gonna have this like new beginning and finally like have a business and bring in a lot of money. And that's all ripped away from her when Tanya like meets a guy and just her whole, she just is like, yeah, never mind. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do that anymore. And it devastates her. And she's kind of like healing from that devastation. And she comes to Thailand to kind of like put herself back together again and be in a new place, and she like forms this really lovely relationship with Porn Chai. Is that his
Love
name?
porn
Oh
chai.
my God, I've literally been calling my dog Porn Chai. Like all night, I've just been like, "Hey, Porn Chai." Do you
I
ever
am
come up with
just,
like you just hear a name and it sticks with you, and like it's just
of
like
course. I mean, I literally call my son Baba Ganoush.
Baba Ganoush? Yeah, I know. I literally have just been calling Finley Porn Chai. And I
That's
say it in that
literally,
way. Hi,
it makes
Porn
so much
Chai.
sense.
He's
Hi,
such a
porn
porn chai.
chai.
He just
Little
like
porn
is
porn.
porn chai.
Hmm.
Um, and porn chai is just like so so sweet and so pure, and he is hot. First of all, like when
Yeah.
he like took his
Mhm.
shirt off and Belinda was like, "Oh damn," I was like so happy for her that she was like not only getting with a nice guy but like a hot guy.
Totally.
Um, and they just like had a really nice connection. And then the second she gets money, she just dips out on him and does the same thing that Tanya did to her. And I think
Yeah,
and it's disappointing because you want to believe that like she has like a strong enough character to be like, I'm not going to do that to someone because I know how much it hurts. And it just kind of goes to show that like we would all be different people in different circumstances. Like we're all
totally.
just like a victim of our own
Ugh,
circumstance in a way. It just this if we all got $5 million tomorrow, it just would change.
it would change
It would
things.
change things for us. I think all this to say it's like I don't fault her because anyone in that situation would act differently, but just the fact that she so pointedly hurt someone the same way she was hurt is disappointing because I just thought she was better than that. Like,
I'm happy that you said like what you had said about just being a victim of your circumstance because it's so not personal to porn chai. It's just like I think if she got that initial $100,000, I don't know that she would have dished porn chai. I think because $100,000 to her point or to Zion's point, like that's not really going to do anything. Like you like can spend that in a second, especially opening a spa.
spa,
Like
right.
so, she might still want the security of porn chai of like going in together. This would just be like a good little boost. But once she gets that 5 mil, she's like, I don't even need to open a spa. Like I don't need to do any of this. And I
Right. It just changes everything. She's like, I
she
could
just
just enjoy being rich for 5 minutes.
yeah, right, and when she said that, it was just so real, and, like, it was gut-wrenching.
Yeah, it is a little gut wrenching to think it's like all the hard work and dedication and like dream that she had just kind of get thrown out the window. Like she's just like,
Yeah.
like I just want to enjoy it. But like that's real and that's human.
She just right, like, I think she had to in that moment. I think she'd be doing herself a disservice if she followed through with that with porn chai. Like, she just met this like, she needs to, like, fully reassess her life, reassess where she's living, reassess, like, what she's doing, like, just everything is different now. She has a totally new center of gravity. So for her to still have the same aspirations, like the same things, maybe ultimately she'll come back to it and be like, this is what I want to do. Like, I miss porn chai, whatever. But like, she can't authentically continue with the same mindset that she had prior to getting this influx of money because everything has changed. I don't know. I just thought I'm really happy that she had this ending. I think this is the ending she deserved. I really do. And I think her tying herself to another person, it would have been a mistake. Even though it's
Yeah,
like what we would have wanted, I think this is like what she needed.
it is. I think that ultimately it is the right decision. It just makes me sad that porn chai like kind
Yeah.
of got caught astray, you know?
No,
Like
it's very upsetting. And it once again, Mike White just I thought it was so brilliant how he like tied that all together.
um so I think this ties into my disappointment was that Greg slash Gary, like I thought like more was going to happen there, like something a little more sinister was brewing under the surface because we know he's a killer. He had Tanya killed. So I'm like, "Oh my God, what is he going to do to Belinda?"
Right.
But really he was just like, "I want to tie up this loose end. Here's the money and like let's just move on." And it was like it was interesting that it was kind of like nothing more than that. Like he
Yeah.
just was like, I'm kind of like at peace and like I moved here to like live a quiet life and I'd like to keep living this quiet life and like I don't need like more blood on my hands. But I think
Literally.
I was like shocked by that because I was like expecting like something really crazy to happen with Greg. So that, I guess, tied into my disappointment. But maybe like now that I'm thinking about it, it's just kind of like everyone at the end of the day, I think this is a major theme across the whole series, is like looking to find peace. And we
Yes.
all like have different paths to finding peace. And we all like take one step forward and three steps back towards
Wow.
achieving that like peace and like
That's
content. And I think that like Greg is kind of, he's content with his life in Thailand, and then he's also like, in a way, I think this is me like atoning for what I did to Tanya. Like I know that like
no,
this
because
is
he
what she
kept
would have
saying
wanted.
that.
Yeah.
He kept saying, "This is what Tanya would have wanted." And
Right.
like initially when he says that, you kind of don't, because you're to your point, you think he's just like sinister, there's something going on. So you're like, yeah, bullshit. Like you don't believe it. Then at the end, when he literally wires her $5 million and then calls her and says again, this is what Tanya would have wanted. It's like he's telling himself that, like, I'm doing the right thing. Like Tanya died and I'm almost like executing her will.
I would,
Like,
yeah. I would have loved for a cut to Tanya in heaven just being like, I don't even remember this woman, you
oh
know?
my God.
Like, no, but yes, it is what Tanya would have wanted.
And it's crazy though that like Tanya clearly did talk about it with Greg, because how else would Greg have known
Right. Well,
that? Because he kept saying, he would say to Belinda, Tanya always said that she was upset she never started this with you. Like, I don't think he would have known that.
right. And also, she did talk about it in season 2 with Portia, where she's like, I kind of think about this woman that I met at a spa, and I feel
Mm.
bad that I didn't start that spa with her. I need to work on my Jennifer
No,
Coolidge.
that was, I think it's great.
Thank you. Um, so I mean, happy for Belinda that she got her happy ending. Let's talk about some characters that didn't get such a happy ending.
Was Rick.
Let's do it.
So his quest for vengeance.
Okay, so let's talk about how I mentioned that like everyone's looking for peace. I feel like
Yes.
Rick felt like he was going to find peace by avenging his father's death and killing the
Yes.
man that killed his father. Spoiler alert, the man he thought that killed his father was his father. Were you shocked
Yes.
by this?
God, there was so much that happened in that one moment. I knew something went down just because of the way Jim reacted when he's like, "You're," like, I forget the mom's name.
Gloria.
You're right. He's like, "You're Gloria's son," or "Gloria's your mom." Like, clearly something happened that, you know, Rick didn't like, wasn't privy to. But the whole thing, so yeah, I mean, it definitely surprised me, but also like the whole thing was just odd that he really was the father, but clearly was kind of a dick, because he then went to the White Lotus. Lotus saw Rick, who's his son. He knows he's his son, flashes a gun and is like, I'm coming to get you, basically. And you'd think that he would say, listen, like, I want to talk to you.
Yeah, it was he antagonized him and was like, your father is a piece of shit. But I guess he was like talking about himself, and he
So he
was like,
said that?
yeah, he was like talking about, he's like, your father was like a worthless man and like a coward. Like he was saying, he saved you like heartache or something by like you not meeting your
Oh,
father. So, and he was really talking about himself.
oh, I forgot
How is
about that.
Rick supposed to know that? Obviously, he doesn't think that you're his father. So, yeah, I thought that whole scene was strange, and I'm not sure like what his goal was. I guess it was to like um just retaliate for him like pointing a gun in his face and like threatening to kill
Yeah.
him and knocking him over.
Clearly he was an asshole though, because again, if he really cared about Rick, I forgot about that whole speech, but I feel like he could have said, like, we need to talk, but he didn't want Rick to know that he was the father.
Right, exactly. And I think because Rick wasn't able to kill him the first time, he's like, he's a pussy. He's not going to come after me again. So I think he was just being like an asshole and like antagonizing him and like putting him back in his place. But it was just so sad because before that encounter, Rick and Chelsea had such a nice
Oh my
moment
god.
at breakfast where Chelsea says, so what does she say to him about like sticking together?
We're going to be together forever, right? And he's like, that's the plan. And she just basically breaks down, because even though she knew, I like interpreted it as, even though she knew he always felt that way, otherwise she wouldn't have stayed with him. Like, she knew that he loved her so much, but he now felt safe enough and at peace enough to actually vocalize it. And she was like, we're finally, and it was like foreshadowing when she would say, Rick is pain, I'm hope, we're yin and yang, one of us is going to win. And like in that moment, you think that hope is going to win.
Right,
He got
exactly.
his
Like
happy ending.
she got through to him, like he's healed, he's like finding forgiveness for what happened to him, and it's all like brought to shit when he's confronted by Jim.
The whole thing kind of reminded me of like That's So Raven.
I laughed in the outline when I saw that. You're like, reminds me of That's So Raven, LOL.
Just because That's So Raven, for those of you who didn't watch this incredible show, it's not really a parallel, but like there's elements. Raven can predict the future, and she sees into the future and something like really bad happens.
It's the
So then
future she can see.
it's the
That's
future
So
she can.
Raven.
What do you mean?
I'm quoting the theme song. It's the
Okay.
future I can see. That's
Yes.
so. I'm loving where this is going. She can predict the future.
She can predict the future, but what ends up happening is she creates the future she predicts. Like
Yeah.
if she did, so she sees something, let's say she sees like, someone getting hit by a car. She's like, oh my God, I just had this terrible vision. And then she does everything in her power to not have that person be hit by the car. But because of all the action she takes to try and prevent this person being hit by the car, they end up being hit by the car. Where if
Right.
she just didn't see into the future, that person would not have been hit by the car because all the actions that she took is ultimately what had them, is the reason they were
Right.
hit.
Everything she tries to prevent ends up making what she doesn't want to happen.
Happen. And it's like her vision that creates that.
Right. So you feel like Rick is Raven in this scenario?
Pretty much. Like Rick, so it's not an exact parallel because Rick doesn't predict the future, but he's so laser focused on the fact that his dad was murdered and that he's so broken. He doesn't have love in his life. He was ruined. Because of that in his head, he creates that exact situation.
Right.
His dad is murdered and he doesn't have love in his life. His love gets murdered.
Wow.
He created that. If he didn't have those thoughts, if he didn't have that vision, if he was at peace with what was happening, which his mom telling him that his dad had died or was murdered, whatever, and like being at peace with his life, none of this would have happened. But because he had this vision or these like thoughts that his dad was murdered and he needed to get revenge, and then like he had no love, he created that entire situation for
Yeah,
himself.
that is so crazy. I didn't even think about how it's like my dad is dead and I have no love in my life. And like by the end of the season, that none of that was true before, but now it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was so like poignant when she was like, stop thinking about the love you don't have
Yes.
and focus on the
Yes.
love that's right in front of you. And I think
Right.
that is just the message of life, everybody. Like,
Yes.
it is like truly like, don't fixate on what you don't have, what you feel like you're lacking, and look around at what you do have and what you have gratitude for. And that is like how you find joy and happiness. And like Chelsea, like really is the embodiment of that.
Totally.
And she really tries so hard to get Rick to see that. Their connection was so beautiful. I was actually so moved when she was sitting with Saxon on the
Oh my
beach and she
God.
sees Rick for the first time and he sees her face change. She runs over to him and they have like this really tender embrace and like his whole, I mean, give him the Emmy right there. I loved that expression. It just felt like you could feel every emotion that was like running through his body, just like the like wow, like everything I ever thought about like relationships and love and pursuing people is wrong, and like I'm just like the embodiment of like what's wrong with
Yeah.
with
Like he's
finding
like,
emotional connection with someone.
will I ever be seen the way Chelsea sees Rick?
Right. Could anyone ever
Like,
love me so deeply on that level? And it's like, it's funny, like he has like the classic attractive looks, and like Rick has like
mhm.
a receding hairline, and
Rick
like,
is hot though.
no,
It's like
it
stop
is
right.
like, he's not hot, but like, I feel like the whole, like Saxon's whole thing is about being like what you look like and where you went to school and like all the superficial things. And it's like, has nothing to do with any of that at the end of the day, like having a real
Totally. connection.
with someone. And yeah, his face, I've seen a lot of like comparisons to this online, but in the moment, it reminded me of Megan Fahey's face
Yes.
in season 2 when she has that whole realization of that her husband like cheated on her again, and like just like all the motions that she runs through of like being hurt,
Yes.
upset, and then just accepting it and swallowing it. Just really powerful stuff. The acting on this show is unparalleled.
So one additional point to what we just talked about, I thought it was really poignant that Chloe was next to Chelsea when that whole thing was happening. So Chelsea runs away, Saxon's there, he looks heartbroken, and then you could see he feels so alone, and he like tries to connect with like anyone, and Chloe happens to be there, and he's like, hey, sorry that I couldn't help you, remember, because Chloe
Yeah.
wanted to have sex with him, whatever, for Greg. And Chloe's like, it's fine, I'll just find someone else. And I just feel like Chloe represents what Saxon was like coming into the trip, or into the White
Yes.
Lotus, and now he's so profoundly changed. Um so I just thought that whole scene was like just
Yeah,
brilliant.
getting jerked off by your brother will do that to you, I guess. It was a real come to Jesus moment.
I also want to talk about Patrick Schwarzenegger as a person. So I feel like when the White Lotus first started, there were all these like memes online, and his mother, Marie Shriver, was like doing interviews where people were like, is Patrick just like Saxon? And she was like so offended. She's like, why do you think I would raise someone like
To be like
Saxon?
that. Yeah.
He's nothing like Saxon. And there were all these memes online like Patrick Schwarzenegger spending the next 10 years convincing like every person, every director and producer in Hollywood that he's actually not Saxon Ratliff and he really is his own person, just because it felt so fitting. Like,
It did. He
and
played it a little too well.
right. I actually think that this role was like one of the best things that could have happened to him, because it brought him into the limelight, and it
Mhm.
allowed him to like have his own platform as Patrick. And he just filmed this IG video thanking everyone for like watching the White Lotus and how much it meant to him, and he just showed so much humility when he got this role, and never said like I'm not a nepo baby, never said like I don't have privilege, but was just, you could tell, like unbelievably just like blown away that he was able to act with all of these incredible actors, and he just like played it so well. And I just think the PR around him, and as he was promoting White Lotus, like his team just did an impeccable job, and I think he might actually just be like down to earth. Like I think there's just a lot of great management there, because he just seems likable somehow.
Yeah,
Like
no,
very
he does.
likable.
He really does. And I mean, I love all the like behind the scenes Instagram. Like you could really see all the posts like that the cast are putting out there. They all like had such a great time doing this show
Yes.
together and have so much respect for each other, and like they're bonded. Like I feel like they're like a family for
Yeah.
after like this experience, and I feel like it really shines through like in the show and like all the press around the show. So like just kudos to Mike White for like creating such a pantheon of
Totally.
like this will like go down in HBO history as one of the
Oh,
best series for
and there's
sure.
already season 4.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
I'm
Wait,
so happy.
there's a really funny meme. It's like of Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's like
Oh
Mike
yeah.
White, like if you're going to a ski resort, you know who to cast.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, wait, so let's talk about the rat lifts because like honestly, they're like the most insane part of this finale.
Oh, interesting. I probably agree
I
with
mean,
that.
Timothy tried to murder suicide his whole family by
Except for
poisoning
Locke.
them with pina coladas. Also, like, I'm just not really aligned with what the game plan was. It's like you spared your youngest because he said he could, like, potentially live an uncomfortable life. Yet, I don't know that he would be able to if his entire family
Yeah.
died and then you left him with nothing because
Right.
of your criminal past and activity. So you're just leaving him with no family, no money, and like a tarnished family name. Just like that was a crazy like game plan. I mean, I understand that he thought that Lachlan should have been spared because he wasn't as
Materialistic, like
materialistic as the rest of his family, but I still think he would have struggled in that scenario greatly.
um I definitely agree. I also thought it was just funny the way he answered. It was just like so emblematic of his character throughout the show. Like when his dad was like, "Do you think you can live like without a house?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so." Like he just like really struggled, obviously, to find himself and what was important to him, and he's just like was so desperately trying to be seen by everyone in his family. And I feel like that you could have inserted any question that his dad could have like, and he would have been like, okay, like maybe, like,
Right. The whole point is like he has no identity of his own.
right.
He's like always trying to like just mold to like someone else in his family. And I thought, yeah, that scene, even though
Hmm.
how uncomfortable it was between him and Saxon, just I'm glad that they like acknowledged it. And he was like, I saw you laying there and I felt bad. I know how much you want to like hook up with girls and be a part of something. Like I just like wanted to bring you into it. And you could tell that like I feel like the whole season I was like, there's something really wrong with him. There's something really sinister, something really ugly boiling beneath the surface with him. He looked at his brother's ass. He, like
Right.
all this really weird stuff, but really like at the end of the day, he's just like a lost little boy who doesn't know who he is. And he's like looking up to his brother, who's like a problematic person and also really blurring the lines of boundaries for him. Like he was the one sleeping naked next to him in the first episode and asking him
And,
about porn and like,
like talking about whether or not their sister had sex, like just weird stuff.
right, exactly. So it's like what a young, impressionable person is gonna like take all these things in and be like, okay, I have to be like him. Like this is normal. Like
Totally.
and that is going to make you do something really fucking weird. And like so while it's really disturbing that that all happened, it just makes me I feel bad for how like how much shit talking I was doing on Loki throughout the season. I was like, there's something really wrong
Lucky.
with him, but he's just
No, I
like
mean,
a sad soul.
I like, so it's funny, like so my brother actually said, he's like, I just hated that incest scene because he's like, I don't understand what it did. Like it just felt like shock value. And I actually like disagreed. This was like before, like a couple episodes ago. But I said, I'm like, obviously, please take the incest factor out of it. But it was just a very extreme example of like a very relatable dynamic of a sibling. They're deriving meaning from approval from the people who they love the most.
Yeah,
Like, that was just
exactly.
so obvious, especially then when, like, his brother, Saxon the day after is like, I don't want to talk to you. And then he's immediately like, oh, I'm gonna go to like this Buddha place with my sister. Like he
Right.
just
He's
like
like, okay,
so
on to the
badly,
next one. Like,
right, like he's just so sheltered and just doesn't know how to like find himself. And that I mean, even at the end when like Saxon's like, no one's gonna make you a man, and he the next day, like that's how he ends up basically dying because he's like, I guess I should start having these smoothies.
right. He's not like finding his own definition of being a man. He's like still trying to be like Saxon. But Saxon is such a hypocrite as we're talking about it because he's like to his father, I put all my eggs in your
Mhm.
basket. Like, I
So good,
have
Rebecca.
nothing going on except for like being tied to you and the work that you do. And like, please tell me that everything's okay because if it's not, I don't know who I am because all I know is myself as your son. And he's not even seeing that it's the exact same dynamic that Loki has with him.
That is such a good point.
Thank you. I literally thought of it as we were having this discussion.
Going back to the murder suicide, this plan, I thought it was actually really funny. Side note, when they're all like kind of about to drink it, and then all of a sudden Timothy like shoves the drink out of Saxon's hand. He's just like, dude, like
I know that was so funny when he was just like, coconut milk's off and just like
yeah, coconut
freaks
milk's up.
out. And I'm happy that he backed out of the plan, but just like insane that he kind of like went through with it.
He totally went through with it. He like I would be so afraid to touch that stuff. He like got like tons of seeds and touched them and blended them and like it's so crazy. What do you think about Loki almost dying and then not dying?
I thought I'm so glad he didn't die because I was like, wow, even for White Lotus, this is like really dark. Like he's just truly an innocent. Um, and like I feel like in the past, like Tanya died in season 2, and then the hotel manager died in season 1. They kind of died like comical, like
Yes.
dark comedy deaths. And I was like, this is just like really sad. I mean, not that Rick and Chelsea's deaths weren't tragic, but like they were just like we saw it coming a little bit more. This was
And they weren't
I
like
was like, what a
7 years.
character to pick. Like this is
Right. Right.
really sad. I'm really glad that it was the moment that like he died, he like saw God, he like understood the meaning of life, and then he like
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I literally was like, that whole scene with Lachlan was my least favorite of the show because I don't get it. But I think that's what it was. It was like his way of finding meaning.
yeah, exactly. Now that he's like now that he like came back, he's on the other side. I feel like he is like gonna know how to lead a life of purpose. Like it's like the
He
old
should.
Lockie died and now he came back as like Lockie 2.0.
Okay, I'm obsessed.
And then
I
it
love
also
that.
showed Timothy like I like my life does have meaning outside of like what I did at work, and like I love my family, and I like if I lost my family I would truly have nothing, and I feel like that's how he's able to like confront them and like be real with them about what what's going on.
Yeah,
Um
so that was gonna be my question. Do we think that, like, I mean, clearly we're led to believe that that scene with Lachlan is the reason that he's able to confront them on the boat. It just wasn't clear to me that that was like what changed him.
I think so. I think that was like because he like wakes up, I feel like he is kind of like going through the motions again, and he just like completely snaps out of it, and the way he was like crying and holding him, I feel like that was his moment of like holy shit, like I can't lose like the one thing in my life, my family, that really matters to me.
And once again, the acting, Jason Isaacs,
Ugh. Oh
chills.
my God, I just need to say, I'm like just so obsessed with him as a person. The fact that he wears the,
Hostage
the
pin.
hostage pin at every press event. And, you know, I hate to say that it's brave, but it is brave
It
in this
is.
day and age to take a stance. I admire him so much for
Me too.
for taking that stance, and also on a stage where like he has so many eyes on him, and like this is like such a huge moment for him to like make a statement for Israel and for Jews. It's just like really beautiful.
And he's hot. And he's an incredible actor.
He's the full package,
He
everyone.
really is. He's
Um
pro-Israel, hot, and a great actor.
he's a triple threat.
The triple threat.
Okay, wait. So let's talk about like Piper's whole storyline.
Wait, there's more I want to say about
Oh,
that.
please go ahead.
One other thing I wanted to mention, which I haven't seen anyone talk about, is there's this very like kind of like morbid scene after he confronts his family on the boat where he just like looks out into the ocean. And for a second, I was like, is he gonna jump? And he obviously doesn't. But I don't know if Mike White is like obviously on one hand, he for the first time confronts his family. So you think, okay, like he's not going to kill himself. He just like tried all that and then he finally is at peace with it. He's like confronting his family and they're going to land and deal with the cops and he'll be fine. But the way he looks at the ocean, the way like they film the ocean, it reminds me of this scene when he's talking to the Buddhist monk when they go to like assess
Hmm.
that place that Piper wanted to go to. And he literally says, "What happens when you die?" And the monk says to him, "You land back into the water and become one with the ocean again."
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even make that connection.
So
And
I don't
he
know
was
if
like, I
like,
think that's nice. Like he like that really like spoke to him.
yeah, it like gave him a sense of peace. It like made sense to him. So I don't know. I feel like if you go back and watch that, like the way he said to his family, like, things are going to be different. Then he turns away from them, goes to the ledge of the boat, and just like it just cuts to the ocean. I was just like, this is interesting. I don't know. I just thought that was like a really
Yeah. I
like
guess
it
it
definitely was meant to be a
I
connection.
guess it symbolizes again like the old Timothy, the old person that came to Thailand, and now like the new reborn Timothy that's leaving Thailand, like a man that like can confront his failures
Maybe. Yeah.
and like be
Yeah.
vulnerable. Um I think I just love Parker Posey this whole season and like everything her character is doing. And I just like, I feel like it's funny because all these characters are like searching for meaning and like trying to find themselves. And she is truly the person that knows herself the best and who is like leaving unchanged, where she's just like, I'm a woman who likes to live a life of comfort. I'm very privileged. We're really lucky, and we owe it to all the poor people to like enjoy our wealth and our
That
privilege.
is such a good call out that she and maybe Chelsea and then maybe Chloe, but I don't think Chloe's important enough for like to care. But I feel like Parker and Chelsea, Parker Posey or Victoria and Chelsea are maybe the only characters who don't have any change. I mean, Chelsea obviously dies, so if you consider that a change, but I just mean like, any like internal digging of like,
Hmm.
and I think that makes sense because Chelsea is like clearly so at peace with who she is, like so at peace that she can even be with someone like Rick, who like
Right,
doesn't like treat her so well all the time, like makes her life kind of difficult. And she's like, I just know we're meant to be together, like so confidently. So
right,
she's like so confident in who she is, and Victoria's so confident in who she is, and neither of them really have any sort of like shift.
right. Exactly. And I think that she like played that whole situation with Piper so perfectly, where she was like, why don't you spend one night there? And like, if you really want to do this, like, you could do it. Like, it actually just kind of showed that, like, we think that she's like a bad mother and like she doesn't know what's going on with her children. But that was actually just like a classic mom move. Like, okay, like, you think you have it figured out? Like, why don't you go try and come back
Totally.
and tell me how it goes? And like,
Right. Like she's not like out to lunch. Like she knows her
right,
kids.
and she knows that something's going on with Timothy. Like, clearly, she's like, Timothy, you're not yourself.
You're acting strange.
You're acting strange. Um, so yeah, what do you think about like Piper's whole storyline? And I think that you and I kind of caught on to this early, that she was very naive and like out of her depths with this whole situation.
Yes. I mean, I will just say, like, I think that is right. But I do feel like as a character, and I feel like Mike White is so intentional that I hate to say that as a criticism and more just maybe like as an observation. I feel like she was like underdeveloped.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just like thought she was so boring. I wasn't like pulled in by her story. And I thought that like the fact that everyone predicted what you just shared about like Victoria was like, her mom was like, spend one night there. And everyone's like, she's going to spend one night and like want to leave, not want to do it because she's not going to be able to handle it. That prediction kind of made me think maybe it'll go the other way because like usually the show isn't that predictable, but the fact that that was just like so predictable, I think was the point. But it also just speaks to like I just found her character so one dimensional.
yeah. Well, I think it speaks to like a lot of like naive young white girls that think like,
Totally.
I know that my life is meant for like a bigger purpose, and they like want to be a spiritual person, and they want to like not be materialistic, and they want to show that they're like evolved, but it's all for show. And like deep down inside, like they can't admit to themselves like, no, I like nice things and I want a comfortable
Totally.
life. And because that's not like what you're supposed to say. Whereas like Victoria's just like, she owns it, she knows
Yeah.
who she is, she owns it, and she's not ashamed of it. And I think Piper was like really ashamed of it and fighting it for a long time, and this was like her act of rebellion
And she
against
was like
her
a classic.
parents.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. It's a classic like I don't want to be like my mom.
Right.
But like again, like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree,
Yeah,
as Charlie
exactly.
XCX says, sort of.
Sort of.
The apple.
The apple. No, that's
Not actually, but that was about like generational trauma, so I just like related it.
right. It's all tied together. It all comes back to Charlie XCX. Wait,
Exactly.
side note, I saw a really funny Instagram of her yelling at the LA crowd for not getting hyped for I Love It. She's like, LA, you fucking joking right now. I don't know why. I just like watched it 3 times. There was something about it that was just so funny. Like, she was actually so mad. Like, it wasn't like a, come on, put your hands up. Like, she was just like,
Right.
are you fucking kidding me? Like, she
She's
was
probably
annoyed.
just like, why do you think you're too good for this song? She's
Yeah,
like, this
and
was the
yeah,
original single. Like, get the fuck up.
exactly. I just love that she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I saw this. I don't know if this is true, but I just saw this on Instagram that one of the reason that like in one scene they had written out that Victoria lost her virginity to
I
Zion,
mean, not Victoria. Piper.
Piper.
Yes, I sent it to you.
Oh,
It
okay,
was
okay.
me. I sent this to you. Yeah. So like on the boat, you see Piper like really at peace, like her hair blowing in the wind, like looking up at the sun, really happy. And apparently, there's a cut scene that she lost her virginity to Zion, and that's why
I'm
she's
really
so
happy that they
happy.
cut that.
Wasn't needed.
It was not needed, and I don't see that happening.
He's way too hot for her.
Yeah, and like they're just from two different universes.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the right decision. One
Definitely.
last thing I wanted to say because you asked me at the beginning who I would choose to be my best friend, and I chose Lori, aka Carrie Coon. I think that her monologue was my favorite of the
Yes.
entire
We
season. And basically, like, they're at their last dinner and they're going around saying like what they liked about the trip, and she was like, it actually made me really sad because it made me realize like it just made her look at her whole life and like how she searched for different meaning and purpose through like different outlets, whether it was her career or her marriage or being a mother, and that she has no true belief system. I think like one of the most beautiful and profound things I've ever heard on television was her saying, time gives my life
yeah.
meaning. Because we've all been there, like at various points, whether it's like a quarter life crisis, a midlife crisis, like even a teenager where you're just so like, what is my identity? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? Like, just trying to give your life meaning, and kind of just like all the moments in between those moments are what give your life meaning. And that just enjoying the small things, like sitting with friends and talking shit. Like
Like
that,
us.
yeah, literally. Like just like finding joy in the small moments of life is meaningful, even though like you might feel like it's not. And I just love that she was like, even when we're sitting by the pool talking about the most inane shit, like that means everything to me. And I love when she was like to Jacqueline, I love that you have a beautiful face. And she said
Ugh.
to Kate, I love that you have a beautiful life. And I'm just happy to be at the table. Like
It
like I don't
like
know what my thing is, but I'm just happy to like be here. And I think that was just so, I know we keep saying poignant, but that's the word.
no, I feel like it was so intense. I haven't even like fully processed it. Like I
Hmm.
literally like saved it for last for a reason because I feel like I've given it the least amount of thought because it was just like it was so intense. Like it was so real. Like she finds peace in, to your point, like in her life in the most general sense. Like she finds peace in her survival, in her surviving her life. Like
Hmm.
she's, like to your point, like Jacqueline has like the glitz and glam and um oh my god, it's like I'll
Kate,
never remember this.
Leslie
Kate.
Bibb.
Lovely. I know Leslie Bibb, but it's like I'm using the actors' names for all the other actors. And
It's really
anyway,
funny because someone I saw on Instagram that was like, I'll never know these three ladies'
yeah.
names. And it's like, what do you mean? It's Jacqueline, the girl with the bib, and Carrie Coon. I mean, the girl with the bob, not the girl with the bib.
It's funny either way.
Jacqueline, the girl with the bob, and Carrie Coon.
But yes. Um, um, but yeah, like she's made it this far. She has two lifelong friends and she's still here. She's at the table, the proverbial
I
table.
like that she said we started this life together and we're going through it apart. And that's like so, that's every like lifelong friendship.
Well, she said we're going through it apart, but we're still like kind of like together. Like it was like very much like, yeah, I mean, it was, and I also loved like how I feel like she has the most to be bitter about. And yet, like, she was the one who brought them all together through that speech. Like, the other two were just like, I'm just on a cloud.
Right,
Like, my garden's
exactly.
in bloom. And she could have been like, same. Like, I'm so happy. And like, left, like, gritting her teeth. Like, fuck these
Yes.
people. I can't
And
be
she
with them
was doing
anymore.
that in the beginning.
Right. And then she's just like, I love you both so much. And this was really sad and hard for me, but it's also showed me so much. Like, she just, like grounded everyone and allowed everyone to take their guard down instead of like these like jabs,
Right.
to like make someone else feel bad because you're feeling bad about yourself. I mean, even Jacqueline literally did that to her a minute before she gave that speech. Like she was like, I went home with Alexi, and then Jacqueline's like, Alexi, like, interesting.
Right. It's
Um,
like I feel like Jacqueline, like even though what she did, like she cheated on her husband, but like it's like she had like he was like on her turf. It was like a fun, sexy vacation fling.
right.
And like what Lori did, like going to the fight and then going back out with like back to his apartment and then escaping through the window and taking like a sketchy cab home. It's like, girl, get your life together. You're
Right.
and it's like her in that like hungover, like shame, like definitely having like a shame spiral hangover where she's like, I have to take accountability. Because
Yes.
even though Jacqueline did that to me and that was shitty, Jacqueline didn't make me go out and like act out the way I did.
And also, like, she could have kind of, like, looked down at Jacqueline and been like, instead of being, like, jealous, she could have been like, "That's gross. Like, you had sex with, like, the gross Russian masseuse
Right.
on our," like, but instead she's like, "Fuck Jacqueline, like, I wanted," and again, it's just like the way she like looks at things in her life. I also, just separate from Carrie Coon for a second, I also did think it was like really beautiful when Jacqueline like let her guard down and went into Carrie Coon's room
Hmm.
when she was like really hungover and was like, I want to apologize. I really didn't think you'd care and I want to be your friend. Like, I thought that was so real.
Just the simple
Um,
her saying, I want to be your friend was like, it really, I feel like that was huge for her. Like, she's someone who, like, A, doesn't apologize, or B, like, come with like any humility.
totally.
So, yeah, it was beautiful. I really think we saw like how these women really do love each other, which again
Totally.
was surprising because I think we all thought that it was like, oh God, this girl trip's going to implode. They're never going to talk to each other again. Like, this is the end of their friendship. This is like the last trip. And actually, it just solidified why they're lifelong best friends, why they've been able to stick together. And it reminds me of what Chelsea said, how she's like, we're in the same group or something, like about life.
Mm.
And they're like in the same group together. Like, they're
Oh my
supposed to
god.
be together.
Was this the best
Like,
season?
maybe now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, why was I so disappointed? It was like the most fantastic television. I
It was just really, like, it was just really such a good show. Mike White snaps. You did it
before
again.
we wrap up, we didn't even talk about fucking Guy Talk and
I
Lisa.
know. I
Let's just
had notes on them, but I literally don't care. I mean,
let's just like talk about it for a minute.
okay.
I think I think they were definitely like the least interesting part of the season. Literally, if Mook wasn't in the show, it would have been the same. I don't even, I guess she served as like Guy Talk's moral compass. Should he be like compromising his morals for like his ambitions and his career? But like it was just really uninteresting. And he was such a pussy. And like he kept pissing me off how bad he was at his job. And I felt like Mook was also just like kind of boring.
Um, I agree. I also feel like it's not fair because they were speaking in Thai. So I
True.
feel like it was like I was like, I don't think Lisa's a good actor. Then I was like, maybe it's just because she's speaking in Thai and I like can't. But she was always like, "Guy talk."
Yeah. Oh my God. But the one thing I did like, and that was really cute, was they were interviewing Guy Talk, the actor, and they were like, were you so excited to meet Lisa? And his face, like he was like blushing. He was like, I couldn't believe that I was going to get to be like in the same room as her, let alone like acting with her. Like like just the star power. Like I feel like she's Taylor Swift on steroids for
Oh,
Asia.
totally. Have you seen like videos of her dancing and singing and rapping?
No, but I just know that she's like
It's
unparalleled talent.
it's unreal. I mean, it's Beyonce level.
Wow.
It's
I mean, I think
fucking
it's like
crazy.
Um, it's cool that like she was doing something like so different from like her normal, like just something more stripped down.
They're behind the scenes like or they're like yeah, they're behind the scenes like interviews were the best part of the whole show. I loved watching them interact together.
Yeah, I know.
He was like,
God,
"I've
he's
never
so
had a
sweet.
friend like you."
That's
He's
real.
I don't know if you saw that. He was
No,
like
I don't
she was
remember
like,
that.
"Who what?"
I don't remember that.
Like in the interviews, not in the
Right.
show.
No,
She
no,
was
I
like,
know.
"Who made you laugh the most?" He's like, "Definitely you." Like he's like, "I've never had a friend like you. You're a superstar. You're so like they were just so cute.
That's really sweet. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I like them. It just like they were just the least interesting part of like everything else going on.
I did want to point out like the final act of Guy Talk shooting Rick.
Hmm.
Um, one thing that was extremely intentional that I think the way they they kind of shot it or had the scene set up is that Rick was walking away. So like he wasn't a threat at all, which I think made it was even harder for Guy Talk to justify it because he had been saying this whole time, I don't like hurting people. I'm not good at this job. Like I'm a Buddhist. Like this isn't I'm spiritual. Like I don't like violence.
Right.
So not only at the end did he decide to shoot someone, he didn't shoot someone to protect someone else. He didn't shoot someone who had a gun. He literally shot someone who was wounded walking running away.
Yeah.
So like I just feel like that was really again poignant.
Poignant.
It was it was really it was just an intense scene and he listened to Sritala.
He did that just
Yeah,
to
he
purely like enhance his status and career. It like went against everything he felt morally and spiritually.
I think it was like I really do think it was the best case scenario though because at that point Rick had no life left. He was going to jail and his the love of his life was gone. And Guy Talk, if he didn't shoot Rick, Rick would again be in jail or just like probably kill himself and Guy Talk would just have been fired. So really like the best case for everyone is for him to have murdered Rick, end up with Mook and a cool like security guard for the
Yeah, and
owner of White Lotus.
I think that it's the exact same situation as Belinda, where it's like you
Yes.
sacrificed your moral high ground for like a better like status in life. Um,
That's such a good point. But
and
again,
it's
like,
both the
didn't have
two
a
like people
choice.
that work there and like they're trying to like elevate themselves. And it's like once they're like presented with opportunity, they kind of just like turn their back on everything they've ever stood for.
Wow, I'm shook, Rebecca. That was literally so good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, it's you bring it out in me because we have such good like discussions.
I know we bring it
Wait,
out in each
I'm
other.
cracking up. I was like, it was so boring. I just like wanted more. Meanwhile, I'm having like philosophical level conversations.
I know. I mean, it was
I know
incredible. I'm just
it was
happy.
so good. I'm so glad you changed my mind.
Um, love
I
you. But
love you.
you literally like you came to the table prepared. Like so many of these takes, I'm like, I'm floored.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. And I'm so glad we're doing it fresh because it's like top of mind. We just watched it. Like this
Yes,
is good. This is what we have to do.
exactly.
So let's end this episode just thinking about I mentioned like this might go down in like the Pantheon best HBO
Yes.
series. What would you say is like your maybe top 3 HBO prestige television series of all time? Like if you could only take 3 series with you to a desert island to watch for the rest of your life, what are you bringing with you?
Okay, obviously we're not this is Boy Meets World is in a category of its own.
No, just HBO
Just
series.
HBO.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I know I didn't really prepare for this question because I didn't research. I saw this question. So I'm just doing what came to my mind. I
Mhm.
feel like you're going to say things. I'm going to be like, wait, that one too. But recency bias, I'm going White Lotus.
Okay.
I love this show. It has a lot of elements of just it's dark, it's suspenseful, it has character development, like it's just everything that I love in a show. Um obviously you know what I'm going to say next.
The
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 Leftovers.
leftovers. I was about to say The Last of Us, but I meant The Leftovers.
I know you know. I mean,
You just
anyone who
love
hasn't
Carrie
seen it.
Coon.
I love Carrie Coon. I love Justin Theroux. I love Margaret Qualley. Um,
She's in that?
yeah, she's Justin Theroux's daughter.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I think it was like one of her first acting roles. But again, extremely dark, a little bit more like apocalypse, like world ending vibe. It's not like like White Lotus, but it's just incredible. So definitely Leftovers. And it's all about how like the world it's like you're like we asked for the shows not like the plot
Yeah,
but
no, I love it. I'm
it's
locked in.
the Leftovers. It's basically just about like how I would say like a 9/11-esque catastrophe but in a more supernatural way. It's how the world's population handles an atrocity like that. And like
Hmm.
people turn to religion, people join cults, people get divorced, people get married. Like everyone just like has a breakdown because they go through this like this like collective trauma. And
It kind of
it's
reminds
just
me of COVID, like the way,
yes.
like how so many people moved across the country, quit their jobs, got married, got divorced.
Yes.
Like
And everyone, like, talks about that, like, "Oh, like, where were you during COVID?" It was, like, this universal thing that happened,
Yeah.
everyone, like, knows what you mean, like, "Oh, I was actually living with, like, these friends, we, like, rented a ski cabin, we were here," like, everyone had, like, a different story. It's funny because I'm so used to saying 9/11 because when I used to talk about this series, it was before COVID, and that was the example that I would give,
Mhm.
but I could totally update it with COVID.
Yeah, no, the way you were just talking about it, like, totally evoked COVID for me. Like, just think
Yes.
about so many people that just, like, did a total 180 with their lives. They're like, "I quit my
Yes.
job, I moved to the mountains." Like, it just, like, when tragedy strikes, it really puts things into perspective. And again, it's like, how do I
Yes.
wanna live my life? Who do I wanna
Yes.
be? Very deep stuff. And
Definitely.
for
Sorry, you
me, it
just
was all about planning a wedding and feeling personally victimized.
right. That's also valid. I decided that LA was where I needed to be.
I know, and you loved it.
I loved it. But okay, my the 3rd show, I actually just saw the show for the first time. It was almost 2 years ago, I remember, because it was during my wedding season. I remember, like, on my honeymoon watching it, The Sopranos.
Okay, Zach and I have tried to watch The Sopranos twice and can't get into it because
That's
I know it's crazy. It's so
how far did you
I
make
think
it?
we like made it to the end of season 1 the second
That's
time we tried
shocking.
and we were just like, eh. It's just like it was too
Wow.
slow for us. I don't know what it is about it that we're not hooked, but it's crazy because Sopranos is the blueprint for prestige television. It is the reason why like like television on the status as the same status as
Yes.
like films is because of Sopranos.
Like
That's a really good.
okay,
Those
continue.
are all great answers,
Thank you.
and none of mine are the same. So I think that this will be different, which
Okay.
will be like make for good conversation. So my number one is Sex in the City. It's like my ultimate comfort show. I love the characters. I love the fashion. I love that it's like corny at times. I
Yep.
love that Carrie is so messy and that she's like
Mhm.
an unlikable protagonist. And I think there's been so much discourse about Carrie Bradshaw's the worst and like here's why she's the worst friend. And I think it's the pendulum's kind of swinging back the other way. It's like, do we hate Carrie because we see ourselves? Like,
Whoa.
because
Totally.
like, because she's like messy and unlikable and like really like not in therapy, like, you
I
know?
love I love the memes when it's, like, anything I don't know, like, there's, like
I know what you're gonna say. Big's moving to
yeah,
Paris. No, it was like the earthquake, and it's like everyone just being
like,
like,
level 5 tsunami, like, overtaking Thailand, like, Big's back with
"Yeah,
Natasha.
right. Big's moving to Paris." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the memes, like it's just like so ingrained in the culture. It's my favorite show to rewatch. Like I'm like I just love the whole like Big versus Aiden. I love Carrie and Miranda's friendship. I just love like world of Sex in the City. I do.
I mean, if we I just wanna say, Desert Island was not in the initial prompt when you said asked me to think about this because that's why my shows are all really depressing and, like, dark
Okay,
and
but
slow.
I
I feel
just
like if I
really
were
meant like top 3 shows. Like if you could only
fair,
watch 3 like HBO shows, like what would they be? Like these are like
but
your
I just
top.
wanna say, like, obviously the set like, Sex and the City is so bright and fun and
Like you would
airy
want that
and,
on
like
a desert island. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
like, I don't wanna be watching The Leftovers, like, I would kill
Okay. So I
myself.
think the prompt, right, exactly. The prompt is more just like your all-time favorites. So
Right, right.
for me it still stands Sex and the City. My second is Succession. That show is
Oh,
brilliant, brilliant,
so
brilliant. The acting is
yeah.
incredible. The writing, just I love that show so much. And justice for Jeremy Strong. He's one of the best actors of our time, and he should win an Oscar, and he will.
Yes.
And like he has to because from the moment I saw him on my screen as Kendall Roy, I'll never forget. I turned to Zach and I was like, "He's like a brilliant actor. I think he's like one of the best actors I've ever seen." Like,
What's Tom's name?
oh, damn it! Why am I forgetting his name?
He's my favorite part of that
I
show.
know, he's hysterical. The whole, like, Tom and Greg, it's the funniest show. I feel like in my mind, I still say, like, what does he say? Ludicrously capacious bag when she has,
Oh
like,
my god,
the giant
ludicrously
tote bag.
capricious.
Like, anytime I see a big bag, I'm like, "That's a ludicrously
Wait,
capacious bag."
what about, when they had that I think one of the funniest times I've, like or one of the times I've, like, belly laughed was when they were like talking about this like ad campaign and it was like we're listening, but then apparently like there was like something going on with the data where they actually were listening, so
Okay.
it was like a liability. So they changed it to "we here for you," but it was like HERE, like we
Yes.
here for you.
Oh my God, that was so funny. It's like we're listening, but like we are listening.
Exactly. He's like, "What do you mean, Greg? Like we're going on stage in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like this has been tested."
Um, and then honestly, I I don't even think I remember what I had for my number three. So I think I'm just gonna go White Lotus because it's just so good. It really makes you think about life and the human experience on so many different levels. And it all just takes place on vacation at a hotel in a different destination. And it just shows that like when you have good character development, like it doesn't matter like where it is or where you are.
Yeah. Like that's again, like that's why when people were like, nothing's happening, I'm like, I could literally just watch like a 24/7 like live stream of these
Yeah,
characters. Like I just
same.
like love
I
it. And
was
that
not bored at
that's why we
all.
love right, that's why we love reality TV. There's no
Yes.
like plot necessarily. It's just like things happen and sometimes there's slow seasons.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. This was such an incredible episode. I mean, every time we finish wrapping, we're like, that was our best one. But
I know.
that was
And
a
it's
really good one.
it's actually really funny because I was watching Call Her Daddy and like some of the original like reels, like the making of Call Her Daddy from like 2018 with Sophia Franklin and Alex Cooper first started or like had
Hmm.
first gotten acquired by Barstool or they were like and just watching them behind the scenes like every single time they record they'd be like I think that was our worst episode we've ever done, which we also do.
Yeah, we
We're
do.
just like, did that make any
We're
sense?
like, wait, like maybe we shouldn't post it. Like we have some of those too.
Exactly.
But I feel good about this one.
No, this is good. I feel I'm gonna send it to you because I think it'll like help get us like
Yeah, please. Please send it to me. Thank you guys. Thank you, Emily. This was incredible. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for another episode of Middle Part. If you like Middle Part, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please like, review, and subscribe. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And DM us, comment, send us things. We want to chat. And thank you again for listening. Love you.
love you. See you next week.
Bye.